So the mind is a powerful thing. And in my last video, I talked about how it'd be great when we're having maybe a bad day, we're feeling really low, to give ourselves time out just for 24 hours. But really, our mindset is something we carry with us, and it impacts us in an immense way. Now, I am someone who does suffer from anxiety, and I can ruminate and spiral and all the things. But one thing that I've practiced that has been super powerful, and it's something that I want to grow in. There's somebody who's singing in the background. He's smiling back at me. But anyway, where was I? Yeah, something that I've been practicing. I might kind of have seasons where I'm a lot better at it. And it's just the idea of reframing the language I use. Looking in the wrong place. The language, it's been a while. It feels like it's been ages since I probably videoed. Yeah, reframing the language that I use, and also the things I tell myself internally. Now, one powerful kind of experience I had with doing this was when I had to fly. I had two events. There was a conference in Boston, and then from there I went to sing at a wedding in the Bahamas. So I had something like I think it was 8 flights in a really short period of time. So was it over like 3 weeks? A lot of flights, a lot of flying, and but a lot of fear ensues. The minute I book a flight, I start to have nightmares about flying, and I literally feel the turbulence, and it's usually always like a small plane. So it is pretty intense. You'll have to excuse the lighting. Every so often there will be shadows because the paths might not necessarily be in the right place, but I'm doing my best to follow the light. The sun is this way, but yeah, that's too much. And then a path I can't walk through this way, so I've got to go this way. Apologies. So once I knew that I had to do all those flights, I decided I've got to figure this out. I'm not going to allow my fear to stop me from traveling. So the thing I did months ahead of the trips was to have this mantra: I love flying. I love flying. I did it over and over again. I love flying. I love flying. And then I had to make sure I really felt it. I love flying. So the point was, by the time I got to the airport, my fears would kind of be a lot less. So during the flight now, takeoff and landing is my absolute worst time during the flight, and turbulence, of course. But I had to, again, just have this other mantra during the flight that I can't wait to reach my destination. And I had to visualize the destinations, what I was going to. It was so much kind of easier when it came to flying to Bahamas, of course, thinking of the beaches and the clear blue water, and everything about Bahamas was just stunning. So visualizing that again was super helpful. So much so that to this day, when I fly, I'm not fearful of landing anymore. I used to, like I said, just as bad as takeoff, landing was my worst thing. And what I did, I think, for the last leg of the flight to the Bahamas was look out the window. Again, for those of you who aren't afraid of flying, this might not mean anything, but for those of you who are afraid, you get it. You get it. I look out the window. I wouldn't look out the window, but I decided, because it was a small plane, the kind of planes that I dreamt of, and I just thought, just look out the window. Because I knew we were flying over the beautiful, stunning sea. And I thought, don't miss out on this vantage. Look out the window. So I watched us landing. Again, I never do that, you know. And literally from that flight to the Bahamas, I've now, I suppose, cured myself of my fear of landing. And I now look out the window and I see, okay, here we are. You know, I love looking over the tree, the landscape when we're coming in to land, especially at night, seeing the lights, all the things. Like, just think of all the positives. And yeah, it's amazing. So thinking about coming into a new year and the potential fears we may have. Should I turn this way? Yeah, okay. Let's face the sun. The fears we may have about certain things not working out. Like for me, I was pretty audacious about all the things I wanted to achieve in 2025. And the big dreams, no, they weren't achieved. But I had some great victories. And you know, and I want to focus on that. I feel like, to be honest, 2025 was all about planting seeds, and the dreams that I had at the top of this year, I feel like they're more doable in 2026. So that's the big win for me. So think for yourself how you can reframe your fears. You know, we carry our thoughts with us every single day, and they shape us more than we realize. It's powerful. Another thing I just remembered was I did this group compassion mindset therapy about 7 years ago. And there was, there's going to be a ton of people coming by, excuse me, let me just pause for a bit. Okay. There's people behind me. Sorry. So where was I? Yes, I did a 12-week compassion mindset therapy group session, and it was pretty new. It was devised by a UK practitioner, and I was a bit cynical at the idea of doing, number one, group therapy, and what is this compassion mindset thing. Now, I'll probably talk about it a bit more in another video, but there was just 1 week where we talked about the power of thoughts and how it affects us from a physiological perspective, or, you know, biologically. And it only just came to my mind. If I had more time, I would have been able to tell you the name of this scientist who did this experiment with rice, but I will link it below. So what happened was, this scientist took a pot of rice. So 1 pot of rice was made, but they were separated into 3 jars. On 1 jar, they put the label love. The second jar had the label hate. And the third had the label ignore. When I watched that video, I was so emotional about the outcome of, or what the message, the ultimate message was from that experiment. So, with the rice that had love, the scientist spoke lovingly to this rice. I know, abstract, weird, whatever. But for 30 days, this was an experiment for 30 days, he spoke lovingly to the jar that had love. Now, to the jar that had hate, he shouted at it, he was hateful, just treated it badly, whatever that looked like, whatever, but it wasn't loving, it was hateful. in the tone, in the language. And then the rice that had ignore, it was just ignored. After 30 days, these 3 jars that were cooked in one pot originally, they all look different. So the rice that was loved looked almost as fresh as it was from the day as the day that it was originally cooked. The rice that had ignore had some kind of mold and darkness to it starting to form, and the jar of rice that was hated, that had the label hate, it just definitely wasn't looking great. It was just black and moldy, and yeah, throw that out quickly. Now, I've not done the experiment myself. I know other people have, and with varying kind of results, but ultimately it worked. You know, there is something about the power of words, and I think of that saying that we had at school: sticks and stones might hurt my bones, but words will never hurt me. Nah, words are powerful. The tongue is powerful. What we tell ourselves, wow. I actually cried when I saw that experiment. At that time, I was going through so much. Obviously, it was before I was diagnosed. Undiagnosed ADHD. There was a lot of stuff, and toxic inner voice kind of stuff. So it wasn't great. So I will link that video. I'll find it. So for 2026, I just want to encourage us. I'm not there yet, but I'm still always practicing this. See how you can change your mindset in one area. Just think of one area. I don't know what it's going to be. For me, I'm one of my words for the year. I'll do another video about my 3 words. It says exciting opportunities. So I've been repeating to myself, like I did with the prep I did for those flights. I've been telling myself, exciting opportunities are on their way. Exciting opportunities are on their way. Or I might switch it up and say, I think this morning I said, I can't remember. I can't remember, but I don't always say it in that way. It might be exciting opportunities are on their way. I'm looking forward to exciting opportunities. There's just so many variants of what I do. So what could you focus on? What one mindset shift can you make that's going to make so much difference for you? I really want to encourage anyone that is feeling like, oh, this is me, I'll never change, and you're tempted to go down those spirals. Capture those thoughts. I'm a Christian, and there's a scripture that talks about take captive every thought. You have the power to take capture of those thoughts and reframe the language that you use to yourselves, but also externally. I can sometimes slip into negative talk, and I've got loving friends who will call me out on that and remind me, hey, that's not great. And I appreciate those people that do that for me. But I also do it for myself. When I catch myself going down the negative way of thinking and the words I say, I try my best to instantly kind of change. We have the power to do this. And let's really start practicing having healthier mindsets. The world needs it. You only have to go onto Instagram comments, or was it X, and just see the vitriol that's spewing out of so many people. Let's be kind to ourselves. and let's allow that kindness to reach others. All right. On that note, I shall leave you.